Hello, live streamers. Welcome to SRO at VIR. We are so happy to have you joining us. And if by chance you could be closer to the area, we'd love to have you come out, come often, and bring your friends. Go SRO!
CJ Moses, Deputy Chief Information Security Officer for Amazon Web Services and driver of the number 58 AMG GT3, sponsored by AWS CrowdStrike and here at DXDT Racing. And I'd like to welcome you to lovely VIR.
And ready for the famous S's here at Virginia International Raceway, starting right here at the bottom. Super fun section of the track in these GT3Rs, all flat out, all the way to the top of the hill. Quick stab on the brake, fifth gear, very fast section of the track, then into Oak Tree, down the second gear, big rotation, getting ready for a good exit, and then back onto the back straightaway. Long straightaway, good opportunity here to overtake into turn 14. Lots of slipstreaming going on. Virginia is a track that really rubbers in, so as the weekend goes on, as long as you don't get too much rain, lots of rubber going down, which makes the track even better. Hard on the brakes here, right at the 50 sign, deep into the brake zone. Down turn 15, and then ready for the roller coaster. Almost flat going over this first curb, down one gear, and then onto the front straightaway. And that was one lap here at Virginia International Raceway.
Well, hey, Ryan, and history was made here yesterday when Erin Vogel won and become the first female to win in the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS history. She's also the first female to globally win in the GT World Challenge Pro-Am category. And Erin, when you hear this, what does this achievement signify for you?
It's really pretty unreal. I mean, it signifies a lot of things. It signifies that we have a team here that can really put the wins forward for all of us, drivers and crew here. But it signifies, I think, so much to just women everywhere, and girls especially. And it's really cool to be able to represent our gender. You know, just in places that we are still making headway and still making ground.
Well, it is a big salute to Service Weekend here at VIR, and on hand for that is the retired Master Sergeant of the Marines, Jerry Widener.
Drivers, start your engines!
Well, you can just feel the wind pulled out of the sails here. There is suspension damage. This car will not make it back on the track day. You think of the battles that this team has gone through this weekend, not the way that they wanted to end it here, guys. Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Fanatec, AWS, and CrowdStrike. guys, you guys are going to see Jordan Pepper come in here shortly. They're going to replace all the tires on Jordan's car from where he exited the track there earlier in the race. Also curious of if there is an ABS issue, but nonetheless, this is going to be a long way to come back for this K-Pax team. Andrea Cottarelli, who was away changing, will not be happy with this news when he returns.
class. Third in pro is Giovanni Venturini in the green Lamborghini. Then Ryan Dial and Sandy Mitchell. Madison Snow giving the Zalus car another good run. He's up to 7th. Continuing on through Matt McMurray, Michael Cooper, Jacob Abel, Vesko Kozarov. The top 12 as they run. This is back through turn 1 and turn 2. The horseshoe here at VIR. Don Haley can get close. This is about as close as he can get. Mikhail Grenier not giving him any opportunity to to try and pounce.
No, he slipped a couple of times, but he hasn't made that big enough error to really give Jan the opportunity to get through. And certainly Jan has the thing about that Pro-Am Championship. He's leading that class right now, and Dial is the second runner in that class, and he's about 8 seconds behind him. So you can't afford to get too feisty. Going for that overall lead, risking a championship lead in the Pro-Am class. Thinking about Venturini, who's really K-Bax's main hope here for extending that unbeaten run here, going for 6 straight between the 2 cars. I don't think he has the pace. Right now he's about 6 or 7 tenths off, even though he's moved that car up into the 4th position overall.
Report from the pit lane and the DXDT racing crew is suspension damage, weekend done for Colin Braun and George Kurtz. More on that story with Amanda.
And it will be a weekend done for the 4 Mercedes. And Colin, you were at the helm of that Mercedes. What happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly. You know, I was driving into turn 3 and felt like the right rear tire was flat, but it was up. It wasn't flat, so I think we had some sort of suspension issue there. Normally these things are a tank. You know, we had a light touch on the other side at the start, but I don't know. I mean, we ran a lot of laps after that before something happened, so not really sure. I mean, obviously disappointed for CrowdStrike and George. I thought we had a really good position. We were going fast doing our thing, and yeah, I don't know. These things happen from time to time, so disappointed for the DXDT guys.
George, you guys came into the weekend second into the points. How do you take this weekend and push forward to Road America?
Well, I think we just got to learn from this weekend, and you know, it's a long season. Some weekends are great, others not so great. This is one of them, so we'll regroup and be back at it.
Thanks. Well, tough weekend for those two, but they'll come back stronger. That DXDT racing team is a team on the rise. And speaking of on the rise, the sister car Ryan Dial continues its rise through the field, somehow up to 5th already. I shouldn't say it like I'm surprised. Ryan Dial is a tremendous talent behind the wheel. He'll be turning that car over to David Askew. But back to what we were hearing there from Colin Braun, there was that contact early in the race with Sandy Mitchell on the restart, right?
That's correct, yeah. He did get hit. I'm trying to recall whether it was on the right side that could have contributed to the failure that they've suffered. Anyway, things continue up at the front. They've now got a healthy lead. These leads have a 5-second gap over Robbie Foley. And they have tremendous pace. The two of them continue to run really fast laps. Their fastest laps of the day were just set on that previous lap. So the tires are still holding their performance as the fuel load burns away a little bit. Theoretically, the car's a little bit lighter. Could be a little bit quicker, but you need those Pirelli P0s to do their job as well, which they are up to today in these very hot conditions.
Well, that is worth noting. It is very warm indeed here in Southern Virginia. That's something that the cars will have to deal with. The drivers will have to deal with that as well as we get closer to the 1 hour mark. When we hit that, we can start thinking perhaps about the pit stops. There's the contact there between Sandy Mitchell and Colin Braun. Not sure that tells the full story, but it does at least help us understand a little bit of what's transpired here at Virginia International Raceway, where Miguel Grenier continues to lead.
Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Pirelli, Rebellion, and Total.
So, Mikael Grenier out in front of Jan Halen. This is the way it's been since the drop of the green. Jan's made a couple of runs at that 33 car, but what this could very well come down to here, Calvin, is once the driver change happens, it's going to be a battle between Russell Ward and Fred Pordat in all likelihood. And it'll be interesting to see when the pros swap out for the AMs, who comes to the front and who drops back a bit.
Yeah, I think unless we see a yellow, I mean, I think the Winwood Racing team are in really good shape. Russell Ward has had good pace here this weekend. You would think if he assumes the lead, he should be able to hold it, but you got a lot of fast drivers jumping in. Michael Dinan will jump aboard the 96 Turner Motorsport car, taking over from Foley, and Corey Lewis. He would love to bounce back. He's got a lot of family here this weekend. He would love to really turn the taps on and try and extend that winning streak. Work to do, almost 10 seconds back of the leader, but if you got a reset with a caution after the pit stops, it would be game on.
Well, as far as this battle is concerned, these two cars are not in the same class, so yes, Jan Halen wants to lead overall. They'd love to win overall, but ultimately he's got to be thinking about his class championship, the Pro-Am championship, and he's in a good spot right now as far as that's concerned, because Ryan Dial, running 5th overall, is the second place car in Pro-Am, some 10 seconds or so behind. So the Wright Motorsports guys are doing exactly what they need to do from that perspective.
And the two leaders continue to run at a pace 4 to 5 tenths quicker than the chasing pack, so that gap at the front continues to extend every single lap here. But again, it's all about your finishing driver. What sort of pace will they have? A new set of Prolly P0s being bolted onto these. You know, certainly during this next 10 to 20 minutes, these drivers are on board right now will be using every ounce of rubber that they have left.
Change of position, by the way, a little further back in Pro-Am. Matt McMurray has made his way around Drew Stavely. That is for 5th and 6th in the Pro-Am class, 8th and 9th overall. Here is Giovanni Venturini, now the highest place K-Pax Racing Lamborghini, currently running in the 3rd position. 3rd, though, in the Pro class. Really the first time we've seen the K-Pax guys chasing the other two Pro Class entries seemingly all season long, with Winward and Turner running 1-2 in the class.
Venturini, oh, problem here, Stavely, I believe, quick spin coming out of Oak Tree. Local yellow. He's got fire underneath again, so we're good to go.
Well, he will rejoin the fight, but in front of Jordan Pepper, who continues his recovery drive here at Virginia International Raceway. Mikhail Grenier out in front of Jan Halen. Giovanni Venturini running in the 4th spot, 3rd in class. DL trying to run him down. Shares that car with Corey Lewis. Corey will take over next, but yeah, here comes that Mercedes getting closer and closer. Ryan DL met the pass on Sandy Mitchell a few laps back, and Sandy drops a wheel off. It's not the first time we've seen him have a small issue there in turn 1.
I wonder if he's got some ABS issues. A quick correction on my part. I thought that Pepper had stayed on the lead lap. He hasn't. He is a lap down, so they are very much on the back foot. Tough to recover from that position here today.
Addison Snow is able to slip past Sandy Mitchell. Both of them with extensive Super Trofeo experience, but Madison Snow's been doing a lot of GT3 racing in Lamborghinis over the last few years, but new to this championship. Great partnership with Jason Harward, the Zalus Motorsports team, a couple of Utah guys for a Utah-based team.
So a ton more miles, even though Sandy Mitchell has been here before. Madison Snow has had victories here over the years in these type of race cars, GT3 machinery. He currently runs this Lamborghini with Paul Miller Racing in another championship here in the States, so he's very familiar with the controls here. And I think this is a team that is really going to go places. I love their energy. I love the makeup of the team. And I think Madison's enjoying life there.
Now, just looking at the paint scheme on that car, you can tell they're a fun-loving bunch. It is displayed quite evidently even in the livery. Back to the front of the field, Grenier had built a bit of a cushion. It's disappeared over the last few laps. In fact, Jan Halen has set the new CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race. It had previously been held by Colin Braun, and maybe he backed off a bit, cooled those Pirellis down, and he's back on the attack.
He is. And I'm really impressed with the pace, the consistent pace that the Pirellis are giving these drivers here. Almost 90 degrees here this afternoon. You see the car sliding a little bit out of turn 3. We've seen that before from Grenier, our leader. But the lap times are improving, which is what you want as a driver. You want those tires to just continue to give you the grip you're looking for as the fuel load lightens up a little bit.
7 minutes until the pit stop window opens up. The pro teams typically with a bit more leeway in their strategy. Two drivers of approximately equal pace. What do you expect to see from Winwood, from Turner, and also from K-Pax with the 6 car?
I think you're going to see the top 3 kind of stay out there, sort of like maximize the ability with the guys they got behind the wheel now. They're very much in a rhythm. They have pace, so do that. I think with Venturini and Lewis, there's some options there. Get that pit stop done, stay on the lead lap, which you do certainly if you're close to the leaders. And then if there's a yellow or something should come out, you might catch a lucky break in terms of everything being shuffled around a little bit before others make their pit stop. But I think you've got to try something different. I don't think they're going to win this race, the 6 team on pace so far today, but you know that Thomas Blam and the engineers will certainly work every angle.
Tough day so far for the championship leaders in the sister car. Amanda is standing by.
Andrea Colorelli saw his teammate go into the grass while he was changing back in the paddock. Now that you're back and it's almost time for the driver change, what's your approach here, Andrea?
I mean, we are one lap down, so it's going to be pretty take it easy. Just want to see if the car has any issue or what. We don't know why Jordan went straight. Maybe there is some issue. So the guys, they're going to check at the pit stop.
What do you feel will be possible for your team?
I think we just need really to finish the race. Yeah.
Get to that threshold where they can score some points. That's got to be the focus there. But how disheartening is it, Calvin? You've been in races like these. You're jumping in a car that more or less is out of contention. How do you keep the focus? How do you keep the enthusiasm?
You have to think about the big picture. You get to that point where you're going to award it points. They'll finish 4th, so the pro class is light on increase right now. It's a stellar field in general, but with only 4 cars running for those points, they're not going to drop too many for the rest of the chasing pack. So just focus forward. Racing doesn't always go your ways. They've had a tremendous season. Bar a little issue at the end of COTA. They could have been on 5 on the bounce right now in terms of 5 consecutive races. They've won 4, finished runner-up in the other one. It's just not their day today.
This is a good little battle here. Not for class position. That was Vesko Kozarov in a Pro-Am car holding off Conrad Grunwald in the lone Am entry with Drew Stavely trying to recover from his spin right behind. Jan Heywood maybe running out of patience, flashing those headlights, trying to find a way past the leader, the pole sitter, Mikael Grenier.
Well, if a mistake is going to happen, it's typically going to happen towards the end of the stint as fatigue sets in a little bit. It's really warm, even with the cockpit cooling aids that you are allowed to run. Certainly the sweat is on the brow right now, Mikael Grenier. And also the tires are losing their edge. So if you just look in your mirror at the wrong moment, you miss your mark a little bit, you may not have that ultimate grip that you'd love to kind of get you out of that situation. I think Jan Heywood would love in these last probably 10 minutes or so for him staying behind the wheel to just sneak to the lead, gap everyone a little bit, and give a bit more of a cushion for Wright Motorsports to work with.
Race Vision powered by AWS. Corner speeds at Oak Tree, the slowest corner on the track, turn number 12. Lamborghini looking stout through there, the Porsche strong through there, and I suspect the Porsche very strong out of that corner. That's typically a type of corner that a Porsche would excel leaving because of the engine placement.
Yeah, it's got that weight over the driving wheel, so it kind of squats and launches off corners like that. It's always been something that's been a bit of an asset for those cars.
Giovanni Venturini trying to fend off Ryan Dial, while up at the front of this field, Mikael Grenier, the pole sitter, continues to lead over the Belgian Jan Heywood. Robbie Foley running in 3rd. Getting close to that pit stop window here, but still plenty of incentive to try and get a move done if the opportunity presents itself. Jan Heywood continuing to run very fast laps, a couple of tenths faster than Mikael Grenier that last time around. Robbie Foley matching these two on race pace over the last few laps, but he's 8.8 seconds back. Currently the 2nd placed car in Pro, and himself has a pretty healthy margin over Giovanni Venturini, who runs 3rd at the moment in class, 4th overall.
Yeah, they're gradually getting the pace together with that Turner Motorsports BMW. Foley's had so much success here in North America over the last couple of years with the same platform and the same team, but that switch to the Pirelli tires in this championship, there's been a learning curve there. They've done some testing. They feel they've got their head around it. They did a couple of days testing here at VIR, and that car is well suited to this track. We're seeing late in the run, he's starting to match the pace of the leaders.
Well, and of that, in that lineup, Robbie Foley is being asked to carry the load. He is the veteran, and that's kind of silly when you think about it. He's such a young guy, relatively new to the scene, but his co-driver Michael Dinan, very, very fresh, does not have much experience. But we've seen as the team's overall pace is improving, so is Dinan's, and that seems to be a very good trend if you're cheering for Turner.
Yeah, and I think also just the comfort factor with the car. I think the car's a bit edgy. It wasn't the nicest piece to drive early in the championship season. They've settled it down some, so that certainly plays into both Robbie and Michael's hands. But for Michael, what a season he's coming off. I think he had 17 wins last year between the Sprint and Sprint X competition with the GT4 car, with Robbie alongside for 6 of those wins.
This is Robbie Foley, the Liqui Moly H&R BMW for Turner Motorsport. Behind him, there has been a change for 4th overall as Ryan Dial has slipped past Giovanni Venturini. That is not a class battle, but it is an overall battle, and Dial set sail a little bit to get closer to the man he's chasing for class win. That would be Jan Halen. Incident between the 12 and 19 at turn 12 is under review. We'll have to keep a close eye on that one as young Michael Dinan watches on. Robbie Foley running 3rd, 2nd in the pro class, however, with 15 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Closing in on time for that pit stop window to open, just over 30 seconds away. Change for 4th overall. Ryan Dial has been able to make the pass over Giovanni Venturini, slipping up into 4th, then Venturini back to 5th.
Looking at this battle up front, Miguel Grenier is hanging tough here. He just wants to try and maintain that lead. Expect him to extend this run probably about 8 to 9 minutes longer. They won't cut it too close in case there's a bubble on that in lap. You can't afford to get too aggressive on that strategy, but he's in a rhythm. He's got clean air up ahead of him. Just wants to try and extend that gap back to Foley as much as he can.
Window is open. Not sure how busy it'll be right away, but we shall see as Grenier continues to lead the way through the S's. Remember, they were in a position where it looked like they might be in line for a win yesterday. It was an issue on the pit lane that ultimately cost them. There are several places where it could go wrong, but you really don't expect either of these two teams to make a mistake on pit lane. What Windward is doing around the world, the input that they get from HTP, and then Wright Motorsports, tons and tons of experience in long-distance racing where pit stops are commonplace.
Yes, and we're getting to the heart of the season right now with the round 6 of a 14-race championship. So they're very much in their mode of the rhythm and what you need to be doing. But anything can go wrong. We saw yesterday the mechanic just bounced the tire off the other tire that was sitting on the ground, bounced towards the pit lane, fast lane, and the photographer grabbed it, but the stewards elected that was a penalty. And that cost them the win for sure.
2 Lamborghinis side by side. Madison Snow in the Zaluz car. That's the multicolored car. Comes out on top of this one. Sandy Mitchell was trying to get that spot back. Matt McMurray has used this as a chance to close in as well. Battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th overall.
McMurray having a really nice run here for Compass. This is the day they needed kind of a little bit of a bounce back.
Here comes Mitchell off of Hogpen. Gets a great run on Madison Snow. TR3 Racing versus Zaluz.
Yeah, this is a drag race. Venturini, we talked about maybe him coming in one of the early stoppers to get Corey Lewis behind the wheel. K-Back kind of playing that strategy. See if they catch a break with maybe an incident on the racetrack. Here he comes.
Yep, we do see the K-Pax car come into the pits. Sandy Mitchell unable to make that pass on Madison Snow, but now we watch the first roll of the dice here. Strategy playing out before us with 48 minutes left to go. Corey Lewis will replace Giovanni Venturini. Home soil for Corey, the lone American member of this K-Pax Racing lineup.
We assume that wiring harness change has affected a fix on the car. We haven't seen any stumbles, any kind of inconsistent lap times at all from Venturini. But still on the back foot. He had a crash. You see the bodywork there, that black bumper. That is not normal. He had a crash himself in practice here earlier in the weekend. They lost the session, that session plus the next session. So didn't quite get the track time that they were looking for.
Car drops off to Jackson. They held it, and if you're new to SRO racing, that might look strange, but typically that is a very good sign.
Nice.
Minimum pit speed delta, pit lane delta rather, 71 seconds for Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. They did it in
71.083.
Picture perfect from K-Pax, as we've come to expect, and rest of the teams up and down pit lane, they've seen that. They know they need to be perfect now too, or else they'll give up some time.
So this is what we call the overcut. These guys staying out there, got clean racetrack, laying down very competitive laps still. Here comes Sandy Mitchell. Thought he might have stayed out a little bit longer. He should certainly be a little bit quicker than his teammate out there, but maybe he's just having some issues. You see him lock up a few times down into turn 1.
On the bright side, he'll have a much more clean pit lane to work with than his co-driver Ziad Gondor had yesterday. It's really where their race went sideways. There was a miscue, car pitted in the wrong pit stall, and it caught them out more than others. Really nothing they could do about that, but able to pit with no interference on the pit lane. And here comes Michael Cooper inserting himself into this equation. He and Aaron Vogel picked up a historic win yesterday in the Pro-Am class. Made a ton of progress through the field, currently running in 7th, but part of that is the pit stop shuffles as Mitchell gets out of the car. Ziad Gondor will slide in.
Yeah, and Cooper's really picked up his pace. He's not that far off the leader's pace, just ran a 47 flat, a little bit quicker than Ryan Dial, but not as quick as Colin Braun. So the DXDT team, I think the racetrack came to them. They did that testing, as we talked about, felt very confident coming in, then were scratching their heads for a couple of days, but as the rubber's been laid down.
Something is loose and wobbling around from under the bonnet of that car, the hood of that car. Let's see when it comes away from us, if you can, or actually you can see it right there. Something blowing around in the wind.
Yeah, there is.
Now, there was an incident involving this car and Drew Stavely's Aston Martin that we saw was under review. I haven't heard what the outcome of that review was.
It's like almost a piece of sealing strip that they might have around the outlet there from the ducts coming off the hood there.
Points leaders in the pit lane, unfortunately down a lap. Will be Andrea Caldarelli jumping in that car. Jordan Pepper did the first stint, had the off, finding the team with some issues and an unscheduled pit stop as well.
Didn't seem like a lot of energy in that group there. I know they'll still want to execute the pit stop, but you can see the driver's body language not good.
Yeah, no question about that. This continues to be the fight at the very front of this field. Nothing to separate these two. That goes back to qualifying, as we talked about. It was an incredibly close qualifying session. Mikhail Grenier, his first race in GT World Challenge America. First time back at VIR since racing in Pro Mazda, Star Mazda, I guess it would have been called back in those days. Did a Formula BMW test, he said, that really helped him get his career going here at this track, and hasn't really been back since. Ooh. But he drops a wheel off there. This could be the chance.
Yeah, that would have lost him a little bit of traction there. Jan Halen's going to be a little bit closer. That Porsche's a little bit quicker, picking up the draft. Here we go. Game on.
Fight for the overall lead. Jan Halen to the right. It is Mikhail Grenier to the left. Not a class position changing hands, and Jan Halen gets it done.
First major slip of the day for the youngster up front. They can go 2 more laps possibly, but it's going to be tight. I think maybe 1 more lap and then let's see what they do. Maybe Grenier will bail here after that little slip if the team is ready for him. No, he stays out as well.
So they will push it 1 more lap. Looked like some problems on a couple of the exchanges we've seen so far. The Sandy Mitchell to Ziad Gondor stop, if timing is to be believed, lasted over 2 minutes. Esko Kazaram to Jeff Burton a little on the slow side as well.
I think just 1 more because it's going to be squeaky to get to it and beat. You don't have to have the service done with 40 minutes to go, but you have to at least cross the stripe into pit lane.
Here comes the Turner car. Turner boys going to work.
Michael Dinan, he's used to doing this. These guys have run together a lot over the last couple of years.
They've got this down to a science at this point. Yesterday's Pro-Am winners in the pits as well. Michael Cooper climbing out. Aaron Vogel, we heard from her at the start of the show. She will get in. Michael will help her with that radio plug. Communication so important.
Watch the door there. The door is not clipped.
It is
Hopefully
not.
someone will notice that. That's a little bit of an error for someone like Robbie. You certainly need to check that that is closed and locked. You normally see him give an extra little push.
Someone did see it.
Yep.
Good on the Turner guys. That might cost him a little bit of time, but it's worth it. Make sure that gets taken care of.
It was the little details. Yes. Nothing worse than a podium run suddenly to come awry. It's tough for the driver to reach that through the netting and everything on the side if it was loose.
This looks like a good stop from DXDT Racing. We'll look at the timing when he crosses that line, but again, you saw him sit and wait for a moment. That typically bodes well.
Here's the undercut. Corey Lewis trying to make a move here. This is for position in class. Even though Dinan's got tires out the tire warmers, Corey Lewis should have the energy in his critical few corners here for Michael Dinan to try and hang on. This is where his experience will come into play. Pinches him a little bit. Corey Lewis trying to figure it out. Can he get the undercut here coming off? Now it's going to be tough. Tough to pass here through the S's.
Buckdynan seemed to slow down.
He did, dramatically there.
Now he seems to be back on speed, but
that was really strange.
Yes, it was.
He looked like he's off and on his way there, and it was going to be the other way around in terms of following this car through. See that hood there just flapping a little bit on the right side for Michael Dinan as well. I'm not sure if the pin has gone adrift or broken.
It was a quick stop, by the way, from Cooper to Vogel, 72 seconds, so a little bit over, but you can live with that. Madison Snow to Jason Harward, considerably slower.
Not too many to shout about up on the board right now. Let's see what Wright Motorsport can do. Winwood will be in at the same time. This is going to be a battle for the lead.
And that door issue did cost Turner. They were about 5 seconds over, I believe.
71.5, so half a second outside for Wright Motorsport. 71.8 for Winwood. Two really nice, clean stops by our leaders. Should maintain that lead as Corey Lewis gives chase in the second of the Lamborghini, second in the championship chase. I'm talking about leading car here today.
So it should shuffle out with Fred Pordad leading overall. He's been in positions like this over the last couple of seasons. The reigning AM champion raced alongside Max Root for most of the year last year as an AM pairing, but Max was very, very fast. And there were several times on these Sunday races where Max would turn it over to Fred, well up in the overall running order, and Fred would keep it there.
He's elbows out. He's not intimidated, which is nice to see.
Does look like Russell Ward is on a charge, though. He is very confident. Able to close in some of that. Here we've got TR3 Racing coming through, then the K-Pax car, then the Turner car. So whatever happened to the Turner BMW, it seems to have been temporary, but did slow down rather suddenly, and that let Corey Lewis slip on by.
Ryan Dial has been in, turned it over to David Askew. Nice stop there as well, 71.5, so we're starting to see some good ones. The initial pit stops weren't that great, but everyone has executed well of the late pit stoppers.
It was a great opening stint from Ryan Dial, coming from the very back in a car that had been taken back to North Carolina for repairs. Up, I think, close to double-digit positions. Here comes the battle for the lead. Russell Ward, not wasting any time, slips inside and gets that spot off of Fred Pordad. Battle for the overall lead has been decided, but again, that is not a class battle. So Fred Pordad still the leader in Pro-Am. We'll have, looks like David Askew trying to chase him down.
Understand the 91 has had a pit lane violation. They're going to have to suffer a drive-through penalty for that. So a tough weekend for those guys coming back from that injured failure on their primary car yesterday, running their backup car here today.
Yep, that is the Reardon Racing car, Vesko Kozarov and Jeff Burton. Penalty handed down to them. It is Russell Ward back out in front for Windward Racing. Fred Pordad continues to lead in Pro-Am, running second overall.
Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Acura, Ferrari, and Lamborghini.
Russell Ward out in front, trying to do today what they came so close to doing yesterday before the pit lane penalty derailed a very strong effort. Russell Ward looking right at home. I had an interesting conversation with him. You and I both did back at Circuit of the Americas, talking to him about being in an all-pro lineup. Had been a Pro-Am type driver in the past, in some of his previous racing experience. And we asked, what do you think about that? And he said, look, this is what I want to be. I want to be viewed as a pro, and this is a chance to prove to myself and to others that I am.
And I think he's delivering. I mean, he's not quite there. When you bring a Mercedes factory pilot, it's tough. His level of experience to compete in terms of the ultimate lap time, but he's getting quicker every single season, every single race he's learning, and he's rock solid. He very rarely makes a mistake. And you saw there, just had the confidence just to go for it, take the lead, and now just taking off.
And David Askew now driving the number 63 car, still shows Ryan Dial on timing and scoring, but Sometimes that button doesn't get pushed or switch flipped or whatever the case may be, however it is that the driver ID is controlled. But mandatory driver change there. DL had to start. Askew running in that car at the moment. Corey Lewis installed in this car. This is one I want to keep an eye on. How fast is Corey? Can he run down first Fred Pordat and then Russell Ward? It's a 14-second gap, but he's got 36 minutes to get there.
Yeah, I think there's a chance he might get up to second, but I think that extending that win streak is going to be a tough one because Russell Ward has pace. That Windward Racing Mercedes, as we've seen all weekend long, has been really quick, but you know he's going to dig deep and go for it. You know the team is going to be egging him on here.
What I'm interested in is the third place runner in Pro-Am, Michael DeMeo, back in that car for the first time since his accident in this corner, actually, yesterday. Had a really good debut going in GT3 cars until then, and you never quite know after you made a mistake like that how you're going to respond until you get back in the car. Early returns are good. He and Matt McMurray have proven to be a good tandem, even if it is just for the weekend, as he's filling in for Rodrigo Salles here this time around. 35 minutes, 5 seconds on the clock. Looking here at Corey Lewis in the third overall place car. Second in the pro class, has some 14 seconds to try and overcome if he's going to get to his class leader, Russell Ward. But second on the road might be a possibility. Fred Pordat has it in this Wright Motorsports Porsche, and he's doing a nice job. Amanda with more on the Wright Motorsports story.
Ryan, I was able to catch up with Fred right before he got into the car. Guys, it is hot out here. It's 90 degrees ambient temperature. Fred was wearing this ice vest before he got into the car to keep himself cool. We talk about the effect of heat on the car, but on the drivers, they are wearing 3 layers of Nomex in their fire suit. And Cal, I'm going to come right back to you on this. What impact does the load of this heat have on the drivers?
It really does. It really weighs on you. It's not just from a physical standpoint, also from a mental standpoint when you're overheated. So it's really important that you really control that. You've got to hydrate, not just during the race with the water bottle inside the car, but make sure you've taken on enough fluids over the previous 24 hours. And with these double-header weekends, that's even more important. So the nice thing about those ice cubes, you can use it for a nice gin and tonic after the checkered flag.
In all seriousness, though, those suits, those vests, have been all the rage here recently. I think Simon Pagenaud showed up with one at an IndyCar race within the last year or so, and everyone was, oh, what is this thing? And now you see them all over the place, and the idea is just to keep that core temperature down even before you get in the car. Then any degree that you're adding, at least it's coming from a lower start level, and by all accounts it makes a big difference. Now the cool suits in the car or the AC in the car, that's been around for a while, but it shows what you can do pre-race in terms of prep with things like that, and then diet and exercise, a huge part of it too.
So much of it, Ryan, you're spot on. And I know in the early days I experienced using those cool suits, but they were like a plastic vest with these pipes, which sounded great when they're working, but suddenly when the pipes stop working, you're baking yourself in this insulated plastic shield. So it made a lot of progress since those days. They could work in the wrong direction for you.
David Askew behind the wheel of this number 63 car, DXDT Racing. Told the story a couple of times, but if you just joined us, big crash for David in practice, make that in qualifying rather, yesterday in the morning. They could not start the race yesterday. Major repairs on that car. Back out here and running very strong. Second in Pro-Am, at least for now, but Michael DeMeo may have other ideas. He's moving up nicely in his Compass Racing car. Matt McMurray, a solid opening stint. Put them in position. Now DeMeo, if he can finish it off, he may be looking at a class podium.
Yeah, he's about a second behind, and on that last lap, he was about a second a lap faster than David in front of him, so it's going to be battle on. Plenty of time left on the clock, so Michael's just got to be patient here. Don't force the issue, but don't leave it till the very end. As we've seen so many times this weekend, we have not always finished these races under green flag racing, so you have the opportunity to make the move.
DeMeo from Toronto, Canada. He was the 2014 Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car champion for this team back when it was a Canadian team. It is Canadian in heritage, I would say, still, but last year Jill Beck and Carl Thompson, co-owners of this operation, they moved it to California. The idea was just to to have an ancillary base in the States, but it proved to be a huge boon for them when COVID hit. They could base their operation out of the U.S., didn't have to deal with the border crossings in the way that other Canadian teams have had to do over the last year, and it's been very beneficial. They're also located very close to Honda Performance Development, which they say has been great. And being near the LA area, you might have seen an Acura NSX in some commercials here lately. Might have been this one, because they got a call late because of where they're located. Hey, can you bring that NSX to the studio lot? We got a commercial to shoot. Sure, we'll show up. So pretty cool opportunity all in all.
It was bad news for that 20 squad. They're having a great run here today, leading in Pro-Am. Guess what? Pit lane infringement. No helmet on the dead man in terms of the person who's got the dead man valve on the car during the refueling. So that is not good news for Wright Motorsports. It's going to drop them out of the Pro-Am lead.
That really hurts.
That means this battle we're looking at right now is potentially for the win.
You can believe that the crews are getting on the respective radios to let them know, hey, that's not just for second, that's for the class win right there. So David Askew, Michael DeMeo, they're going to be going at it here before too much longer. An update from the pit lane, though, now with Amanda Busick.
Well, as we saw at the top of the show, it's been a big salute to service weekend here at VIR. We even had a flyover over the racetrack yesterday. Supporting that is Operation Motorsport, and Jason Leash is on hand with us here today. What more can you tell us about Operation Motorsport?
Thanks for having us. So, Operation Motorsport is a nonprofit 501c3 founded in Brighton, Ontario, and Raleigh, North Carolina in 2017. The premise behind us is to engage medically retiring and wounded service members as they transition out of the military in order to provide a sense of purpose, team, and identity. And we find that by embedding them into professional race car teams here within SRO. There are so many parallels between military operations and motorsports that this seemed like a very natural environment in order to engage those who could really use our help.
And one of those guys getting that firsthand experience right over Jason's shoulder right there is Will Babineau. He's working on Aaron Vogel's car.
Aaron just dropped a spot to Taylor Hagler, but nevertheless a great battle on track there. Great Operation Motorsport organization, and they've been a great member of this paddock for the last couple of years. That's the drive-through penalty there. But on this this weekend of memorial service, so much salute to the troops going on here. Great to have Operation Motorsport on site and heavily integrated with a number of teams up and down the paddock. Russell Ward continues to lead over Corey Lewis. The battle in Pro-Am really heating up. We saw the penalty served by Fred Pordad that's dropped him behind David Askew and Michael DeMeo. They are all within sight of each other, though. 1, 2, 3 right there as they roll past into the climbing S's.
Yeah, Fred has got to regroup here, try and get that Wright Motorsport Porsche that's been flying this weekend back to the front. What a story this would be if either one of these front-running cars could grab the win. DXDT on the back foot with the accident in qualifying yesterday to repair the car. Missed the show yesterday. David now back behind the wheel leading, and Michael DeMeo for the Compass Racing team. How awesome for them if they get their debut victory in GT3 competition here in SRO.
That drive-through penalty has brought Corey Lewis up into second overall, second in Pro. We now have Pro cars running 1, 2, and 3. The only Pro entry not running towards the top is the Andrea Caldarelli Jordan Pepper car. Your points leaders coming in. Had some issues early in this race, dropped a couple of laps. They're running all the way back in 14th at the moment. But it is still, I think, this battle here in Pro-Am, the one to keep an eye on. Top 3 all in the same picture. It's awesome.
Yeah, let's take a look at the lap times. They cross the stripe this time through. See who has the advantage. DeMeo just 0.3 quicker, but Pordad, pretty good lap there, so.
Look at that graphic on the left side next to David Askew's name. The green, the up arrow, and 14. Up 14 spots in today's race. You know, this team, they could have said, we've had the accident, we're going to miss race 1. Let's just pack it up. but they put in the effort. They went back to the shop. They made the repairs. They drug the car all the way back out here, and this is why you persevere.
You do. You never know what's going to happen in racing, and you're so much on the back foot. You think there's no way from the back of the field you even think about even a podium, but they are now fighting out for the win. And this is going to be a three-horse battle here in a moment because Fred Bourdais has pace. I think he may be catching these leaders right now.
And he's starting to close in a little bit. Taylor Hagler running in 4th in class, just about 8 seconds behind. Aaron Vogel behind her. That is 4th and 5th in Pro-Am. Michael DeMeo in this Compass Racing Acura. Giving chase to Askew, goes a little bit wide there on the exit of Oak Tree. They're about evenly spaced down Madison Avenue. The fight for the class lead in Pro-Am is on. 1, 2, 3 in Pro-Am in the picture. That's Michael DeMeo taking a peek to the left-hand side of David Askew. 1 and 2. And after serving the drive-through penalty, lurking in the background.
He's wide. The leader is wide, just runs over the inside edge there, loses the grip. DeMeo is looking to pounce. Fred Bourdais in their shadows.
Fred Bourdais had to give up the lead because of that drive-through penalty, pit lane infraction, but he's recovering nicely, watching these two duke it out in front of him. Askew, though, credit to him, dropped that wheel off but was able to recover. DeMeo on a bit of a charge, though, down the front straightaway. Askew goes defensive. DeMeo pops to the outside.
Yeah, and as they do that, they're just going to slow each other down. It's going to give Fred Bourdais the opportunity to get right on the bumper of that Acura in front of him.
And if you're DeMeo, you want to get this job done as quick as possible so you don't have to think about trying to hold off Fred Bourdais while you're on the attack.
Pressure cooker situation here for David Askew, and there's 24 minutes to go. He's got a long time to hang on to this lead. Who will slip first?
Best finish of the season for Askew and Dial was a runner-up in class in the season opener at Sonoma. They finished 2nd and 3rd, a whole bunch going back to last year, ultimately 4th in the point standings. Looking for a win, however, in class, and if David Askew can hold on for another 24 minutes, they're in line for it. But don't count out Michael DeMeo, don't count out Fred Bourdais either.
I think the quickest car of these three may be DeMeo. Oh, Askew really wide there. DeMeo thinking about yesterday, I feel, and giving the edge of the road plenty of room there.
Yeah, if you weren't with us yesterday, DeMeo was having a great run inside the top 5 and just lost it ever so slightly into 11 and 12, slid off track, did some damage to the wing of that car and took them out of contention, atoning for that sin with aplomb at the moment, putting the pressure on for the class lead.
David there just runs that right side through the dirt there, through 14. Got to be careful. Sure, Ryan Dial is on the horn, on the radio with him, trying to talk him through this, calm him down, keep him focused forward. Hit your marks, David.
Well, he's a champion racer in long-distance sailing competitions. Not sure you have this kind of heat-of-the-moment battle in that we're going to have on our hands here for the next 23 minutes and change. DeMeo backs up the entry, trying to get a great run out of the corner. Askew a little bit wide. That opens the door for DeMeo to swing to the outside, but Askew shuts the door in his face.
Yeah, so easy to have contact when you got cars running up through turn 2 there, side by side. Good heads-up driving there by Michael DeMeo in terms of not forcing the issue.
What are you thinking if you're Fred Bourdais watching this right out the window?
Well, you're licking your lips. There's a lot of opportunity here with the time on the board and the way that these two in front of you, but I think if I'm Fred, he's looking at the Acura's pace. I think Michael DeMeo is the quickest combination here right now between car and driver. It could take off if he can get around David.
In front of this battle, really nothing has changed. It's still Russell Ward leading Corey Lewis by 14.5 seconds. So we will focus our attentions here. 3rd overall, but actually 4th overall because Michael Dinan runs 3rd overall. He's about 4 seconds behind Lewis. But this is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Pro-Am.
Yeah, and quick spin here. Aaron Vogel had a fierce battle with Hagler. She just lost that position a couple of laps ago.
That had her in the 5th position. Let's take a look and see what happened. Winner yesterday.
Just carries too much speed there, runs out of road. Got everything slowed down, but you got to be careful now with the elevation change there. You don't tear that splitter off. With the rally coming through.
Yep, but still 5 laps down is that car. I think K-Pac's just trying to get to the point where they can score some points, but here comes the battle for the lead in Pro-Am. Askew defending in the Mercedes. Right behind Michael DeMeo. Just his second ever GT3 race, swings to the outside of Askew.
David tucks it in nicely. Kind of was proactive just in terms of taking that line. Look, he's sideways there, coming off of the first corner. DeMeo to the inside, takes the class lead. David tries to fight back to his flank. Side by side, Fred Portad looking for opportunity.
One more left-hand corner coming in this sequence. DeMeo is through to the lead. Portad can't follow him through. Askew closes off that opening. Now DeMeo trying to make good his escape once he's finally made that pass. Compass Racing leads.
Well, he just got the hammer down there and has taken off. Created a nice buffer, nice gap. He can just look forward, hit his marks. No pressure from behind right now.
Seen a little bodywork flapping on the Askew car. Look at this. Once he got by, Michael DeMeo has stolen a march. A huge gap has developed, and quickly.
He's super conservative there through turn 11 and 12 there. He doesn't want to make the same mistake he made yesterday.
Now the urgency for Fred Portad just ramped up because he's watching the leader in the class jet away after making that move. Now he needs to find a way past David Askew if he can. At the very front end of this field, though, it's Windward Racing showing the way. Russell Ward taking over for pole sitter Mikhail Grenier. They've controlled this race by and large from the drop of the green, swapping the lead in a battle with Wright Motorsports earlier on, but they've claimed it since. Russell Ward out in front.
Today's coverage is brought to you in partnership with Optima, Motul, and Skip Barber.
There we go. Let's see what the battle for second has in store for us. David Askew in the Mercedes just gave up the lead in Pro-Am after a great move from DeMeo. Now Fred Portad trying to find his way through.
It's like David settled down a little bit, hitting his marks a little bit better. I think he's pushing so hard, kind of asking a bit more from the car than I wanted to give him. That's why he's making those little mistakes. Not a big one, but just those little slips here and there, and gave Michael DeMeo the opportunity.
And while that's been happening, Taylor Hagler has rattled off several very fast laps and was about 2 seconds quicker than these two on the last lap. She's 6 seconds behind. Every once in a while, we'll see her pop into the shot. That Racer's Edge Acura might be in the mix before it's all said and done as well. This is where we've seen Askew have a problem in the past, a little bit weak off of Oak Tree, and there is Portad in the slipstream.
You can't fill the mirrors any more than that. Right in the silhouette there as they come down Madison Avenue. This is a tough one. If you're on the right-hand side, driver's right as you're coming down there, you're kind of going the long way around into that tricky brake zone. So David holds station right now, but I think you're spot on with Taylor Hagler. Looking at her lap times and her pace, she has potential here to climb on the podium before we see the checkered flag here today. There you see it just in the background as we come through roller coaster. David Askew really throwing it through Hogpen there on that lap. That was nice.
And we'll keep our eyes on timing and scoring there. But for now, David Askew continues to fend off Fred Portad. But the Porsche's got to run once again, this time on the front straightaway.
David just being proactive, sticks to the middle of the road, then he feints over to the right. Stewart's made look, then he's wide, misses his braking point, just understeers off, probably into the ABS. Whereas Taylor Hagler, is she close enough to take advantage? There she goes. She's up to third.
So put Racer's Edge on the podium, and Hagler has been fast, so there's a chance she could latch on to Fred Portad, and those two together trying to chase down Michael DeMeo, who's got the lead at the moment. In Pro-Am, had built a gap of up around 6 seconds at the start-finish line the last time by.
Could be a big day for Acura in the Pro-Am class. Possible 1-2. They're leading right now. That's a very fast Racer's Edge Acura on the attack for that second position.
Corey Lewis is cutting to Russell Ward's lead ever so slightly. It's down to 12.3 seconds at this stage, but running out of time to keep the K-Pac's winning streak going. Michael Dinan, a strong run in third overall, 5 seconds behind Lewis. Fred Portad now up one more spot, trying to chase down Michael DeMeo for the Pro-Am lead. Second place in Pro-Am has swapped hands. Fred Pordad has taken it. Let's take a look, Calvin, at how he got the job done.
Here we see down into turn one. David Askew trying to defend, takes the middle of the road, just misses breaking point, probably into the ABS, can't get it slowed down. And watch to the right side of the screen here. Taylor Hagler takes advantage. He's on the charge and is now up into a podium position.
Taylor Hagler has been turning some very fast laps as of late. So up on the podium now in third, but eyeing second place. You could see the gap there visually. Pordad, and then the back of the shot, you saw the Acura of Hagler come through. Taking a look here at Corey Lewis, who currently runs second. More on K-Pax Racing in the pit lane.
Well, the number 3 Lambo may be struggling here today. It did bring glory for the Lamborghini Huracan yesterday with its 100th win globally, a count that started in 2015 with its debut. With this honor being with K-Pax, how meaningful is that for you, Darren?
Actually, it's really meaningful, you know, with the competitiveness of GT3 racing worldwide, to achieve 100 wins is really, really phenomenal. So we're really proud to be part of that program and be able to deliver that for them.
Well, Jordan, as a Lamborghini factory driver, you saw that checkered flag right here at VIR. What did that sight look like to you?
I'm not a factory driver just yet, but no, to be honest, it was an amazing day yesterday. It's a shame that we couldn't go and get their 101st win already. The sister car's still out there battling to hopefully get that, but you know, sometimes you gotta take the good with the bad, and you know, yesterday's win I think is definitely going to be the highlights of this weekend, and we're going to carry that momentum onwards.
Well, maybe Lamborghini's listening.
Well, they certainly should be watching. He's been a Bentley boy before, part of the Bentley factory driver lineup, made the switch over with K-Pax to the Lamborghini mark, and I know Chris Ward is here. He oversees the Lamborghini racing operations in North America. He's got a close eye on things like this. I think he knows the talent that this man, Corey Lewis, has, and has seen him firsthand racing Lamborghinis in the States. And look, anybody who's watched Jordan Pepper so far this year, I think it's quite apparent through a TV screen how good he is.
Yeah, they've just been very high on him. They got to see firsthand running that Bentley program with Jordan last year, how good he is. Talking to Darren, talking to Thomas in the offseason, they just said he's remarkable. I mean, going up some of the best in the business like Alvaro Brent, he really shone. So they knew he was the man they wanted to go forward with, and I think they really got the commitment from Jordan even before this Lamborghini program was put in place. So just hats off to Jim Huey and the whole group there and making that commitment to try and sign, seal, and deliver the best possible personnel.
Race Vision powered by AWS, top overall speeds. Through 3 weekends of the series, if you've been with us since Sonoma, no big surprise here. BMW at the top. This M6 is a rocket ship going in a straight line. It's fast to other places too, but top speed has been a strong suit for this car this year.
It has. It's a monster down the straightaways. I mean, it's a couple of miles and up, which is a lot at this state of competition, but it's about balance of performance over the overall lap. And as we're seeing, this is a good track for this BMW. Running in the top 3 right now, the runner-up position yesterday. And Michael Dunn has been doing a really good job. Was observing his lap times a little bit earlier and was running by about 8 to 9 tenths off of what Robbie Foley done earlier in this race. And that's remarkable with Michael's level of experience to be that close to Robbie, who's had like 3 years experience with this chassis now.
I know they're here to win races. Third in class, probably not as satisfying as they would like if that's the way it holds up this weekend, but we've definitely seen big progress from that Turner team here. Actually, week in and week out, from Sonoma to Coda, big jump forward, and same story, I think, here at VIR.
Yeah, and I think it's all about building for the future. I think getting Robbie together with Michael at GT3 level of competition. Michael's at the top of the tree. He leads another North American Championship right now with Bill Aublin. And that M4 is on the horizon, the new GT3 machine from BMW. There's so much hype and buzz about that car. It'll probably hit the shores here within the next 2 or 3 months for some testing. It's been testing a lot in Europe right now. Going to be doing some more testing and run at the River some races here a little bit later in this season. So we're hoping that it comes here and can pick up the pace of where the M6 is, maybe a little bit better even still. It's a really well-tuned machine, it seems like.
Lap traffic for our overall leader, Russell Ward, slipping past Ziad Gondor. Sandy Mitchell started that white Lamborghini, excuse me. Still think of TR3 as a Ferrari team. It's taken me a little while to maybe I haven't yet wrapped my head around the idea that they made the switch, but they're really busy this weekend. Gregory Romanelli and his whole staff, not just running this car, but their Lamborghini Super Trofeo is here this weekend at VIR, a late addition to the bill, and they've got a couple of customers running in that series. And how about this? Compass Racing, it's been a frustrating year. They have not had any luck except bad luck to this point of the season, so all fingers, I'm sure, are crossed down in that pit lane with 11.5 minutes to go, staring potentially at a win if Michael DeMeo can bring it home.
He had a couple of wheel issues in the race, had an engine failure in one of the qualifying sessions at Coda, couldn't see the green flag on the first day there. And yesterday with a little incident, but certainly it's a great group, and it's great to see Michael DeMeo getting this opportunity. He won a championship in touring car division of World Challenge back in 2014 with Compass Racing, and Carl Thompson is the team principal there alongside Jill Beck, of course. He was his teammate, so they know each other well. They're good friends, a lot of respect for one another, so it's a cool story if they can bring it home today.
Back to pit lane and Amanda. Amanda?
Well, we've seen so much going on in this race today, as unexpected things happening on track. When you think of the survivability to the end here, Mick, what does your team need to pull off?
Everything is going well at the moment. The MG is quite a reliable car. It's really tricky for the car and the drivers. Also, it's very hot outside. It's try to manage the tire, but everything is going fine.
How's your weekend going over here?
Yeah, it's been good. It's a track that I like a lot. We've done the pole position for this for race 2. Russell is driving very well. I'm racing with him in Europe as well, and he's made a big step this weekend, so proud of him.
Thank you, Mick.
Cale Grenier put that car on the pole for race 2 here today. He's turned it over to Russell Ward, and he's done the job ever since. Russell Ward right now with a 13-second lead over Corey Lewis. Michael Diamond running in third, the leader in Pro-Am. Michael DeMeo fourth overall. Pretty flawless effort today, Calvin, it must be said, for Windward Racing. Tiny little pit road miscue probably cost him a win yesterday. It's a day later, but it looks like it might be headed their way in just over 9 minutes.
Well, the promise has been there all weekend long, and certainly the K-Pax team alluded to Mercedes could be the car to beat here. And at the same time, the DXDT team was scratching their heads in terms of their setup. So the slippery flag out there, or the oil flag as we call it, so maybe the surface has changed a little bit, maybe someone's run off the road, could even be dust or whatever, but no, it's gone exactly according to plan here today. Great opening stint by Grenier, even though he lost the lead just prior to the pit stop opening sequence, but nonetheless, really strong run, and the team goes from strength to strength, winning that massive race at the Rolex 24 at Daytona earlier this year. Big programs globally, a lot going on, and sometimes it's hard to maintain that standard when you're spread so thin across the board.
This is not for a class position, but an overall battle unfolding here with Jean-Claude Sada in his AF Corsa Ferrari, the only AM entry in the field this weekend, running down Frank Gannett, currently 7th in Pro-Am, 10th overall, so a top 10 overall position on the line as Jason Harward goes for a bit of an excursion off track. That's around Hogpen.
It's a dangerous old corner, and as we talked about earlier in the weekend when it was quite wet out there, if you go off there, you typically just follow the camber and fall down the hill and end up hitting some. Let's take a look. It's up on the curb there, and then just couldn't get it back together.
That's got to be a
day ago, that would have been in the tires.
Yes, because of how wet this grass was.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, he got away with that one, and I don't think he lost any positions. Aaron Vogel is the car right behind. That would be for position, so it does bring her into the mix. That would be for 6th in Pro-Am. But Harward able to regather it. And now needs to nurse it home for the final 7 minutes, 25 seconds. That Lamborghini for Zalus Motorsports, DXDT Racing's Aaron Vogel, first female winner in Fanatec GT World Challenge America history in race 1 yesterday. Russell Ward in control. The lead has shrunk somewhat down to 11.6 seconds, but with only 7 minutes remaining, Corey Lewis taking little chunks out of this here and there. That's not going to get it done. That's first and second overall, and also in the pro category. Pro runners 1, 2, and 3 with Michael Dinan currently in third. Then we get to the Pro-Am leader, Michael DeMeo, continuing to get it done. He's got a 4-second gap over Fred Pordad in the fight for that class victory. But I'll tell you what, this Windward Racing team, Russell Ward, his father Bryce Ward, who owns the team, expanding, always expanding, it seems like. They started off the year in tremendous fashion, winning the 24 Hours of Daytona, and haven't looked back since.
They haven't rested on their laurels at all. They continue to try and excel and continue to build that program, giving Russell Ward a lot of seat time, and that's really paying dividends. He's doing a wonderful job up front right now. Really maintained that lead. Couple of laps there. Corey ate into that a little bit, but still, last time across the stripe, I think it was around about 11 seconds. It was up around 14, I think, at the maximum delta that we've seen today. 11.7 as they hit the stripe this time.
Corey Lewis at the controls of this car. It is the best placed K-Pax car. Looks like this might be the first race that K-Pax does not stand atop the podium. They were a perfect 5 for 5 on the season entering today. Then back to young Michael Dinan, making that switch from GT4 to GT3, and looking more and more comfortable with each passing weekend.
Yeah, and he and Robbie Foley announced this week they're going to run a couple of races over in GT Open over in Europe, so really expanding their schedule. A bit like Russell Ward, similar kind of trajectory really for Michael Dinan in terms of just gaining as much experience as he can, different types of race cars, different teams even, to just really broaden that knowledge. Sometimes even running with the same team all of the time for a young driver. Maybe get too comfortable, change the landscape a little bit, see how they deal with that as well. I think is a great thing to do.
He and Robbie Foley have proven to be a very good pairing, winning a championship in GT4 last year. Robbie, a longtime coach of Michael. I say long time, it's only been a couple of years in all likelihood, but when you look at the percentage of that couple of years to the number of years that Michael's been on the planet, it is a rather stark number. A very young guy, attended Penn University, I believe recently graduated, so congratulations if that intel is in fact correct. Drop back here to 4th overall, but the leader in Pro-Am, Michael DeMeo. This has to be where he's holding his breath each and every lap, Calvin, because this is where a good run went awry one day ago.
Yeah, I think he's been giving up a good couple of tenths through that particular sector this weekend since yesterday, because you can see he's quite a ways from the edge of the road, doesn't want to make that same mistake again, and maybe he's just concerned he didn't quite understand how it happened, and you're suddenly thrown back into the race car today. And you're like, okay, I can't go out and do a practice session and figure it out. I just want to make sure that I don't make the same mistake again.
That's right. There were no on-track opportunities unless you were running in another series to go from race 1 yesterday to race 2 today. So if something went wrong, you've had all night to stew on it, and nothing you can do about it until race time on Sunday. But Michael DeMeo doing a tremendous job, holds the lead and seems to have even built that lead a bit over Fred Pordad. Looked like this might be Wright Motorsports' day, but a pit lane penalty put them on the back foot, able to recover at least 1 or 2 of those positions. I think they dropped down to 3rd from 1st after the penalty, so up to 2nd. That's good, but what might have been?
Yes, but they'll continue to extend their championship lead. Great run here for Taylor Hagler. She is really doing great things aboard this NSX. Got Dane Cameron along with Ryan Eversley on hand here this weekend, two really great drivers with a lot of experience with the shed. Oh, problems here for Dinan. He stalled on the racetrack.
Looks like some grass on the splitter to me.
Did he take an off-road excursion coming out of 4 possibly?
Now, the good news for Dinan, I suppose, would be he's not going to drop enough laps, even if he doesn't get going again, to lose another spot in class. And they're past the point where even if they don't go any further, he should still earn points. We're well past the 70% mark. So you're going to lose some overall positions and things like that, but it's not all that costly from a championship perspective. Hopefully that car can get going again. Hate to end this race under yellow if we could avoid it.
He's back on, so maybe a quick reset, but you look at the splitter there, I think he's definitely been off the road. See the grass stacked in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of impact in there.
I think maybe they can do that trick where you suddenly just hit the brakes and it kind of all falls forward as you stop the race car. So maybe that was what he was trying to do, but didn't really get it done effectively.
Just to see how much ground he lost as far as the overall standings are concerned. Inside of 2 minutes, a little bit of drama here, but it shouldn't have a huge impact on the season-long perspective. Just costly for Turner and Michael Dinan, trying to pick up an overall podium. Very close to doing exactly that. Russell Ward still pushing, though, dropping that left rear on the exit of Oak Tree.
Yeah, should see the white flag next time. Down the front straightaway. Really nice run. Gap is built back up to nearly 14 seconds again. Last time across the line, 13.7 over Corey Lewis, who will score big points here today. That will certainly help their cause in terms of eating into the championship lead of their teammates. But again, it will only be 8 to 12, a 6-point swing, I think, 18 to 12.
Russell Ward, some smoke there in Hogpen.
Is there a car there?
There
is a car. That's Aaron Vogel, I believe.
Oh, yesterday's winner in Pro-Am, along with Michael Cooper. Oh, and David Askew in the tire wall.
Aaron,
maybe that's the one.
Yeah, I think so. So the front end, but it was maybe Aaron's car.
That was your class leader in Pro-Am for a time. He was running in 4th. A pretty healthy gap back to Harward, but did drop that spot. Vogel also got through, it looks like. Not sure what led to that, but final lap here for Russell Ward. Mikhail Grenier, first weekend in the series. Might be the magic touch the team needed. Nothing against Philip Ellis, who was very, very fast and will resume his rightful place in this team. But not a bad homecoming to North American soil for Grenier.
Really strong. Great opportunity for these young drivers. I know he's well-established AMG factory pilot, but nonetheless, to come here and make a statement like this, that pole position lap was sensational. We thought Jan Halen was going to get it. He had a little slip coming into this corner here. Cost him a few thousands, and that was the pole.
And here is your Pro-Am leader as well. Michael DeMeo coming up on some lap traffic. JC Sada just up ahead. Of course, a Ferrari. Been another nice, solid weekend. Quiet and uneventful. When you're the only car in your class, that's really what you're looking for. And the cavalry's coming. By all accounts, we should have some more AM entries coming before the end of the season. But they'll have the added advantage of having worked together as a team thus far in the season and a lot of lessons learned. And again, great to have AF Corsa as part of the championship. Out of Hogpen for the final time, Russell Ward, Mikhail Grenier, and Windward Racing break K-Pax's stranglehold. They win race 2 of the weekend at VIR.
Stellar job by the whole operation. Could have swept the weekend other than that little slip in pit lane. And now he runs off the racetrack. That's not part of the program.
Just spicing it up for us. You didn't have to do that, Russell. We were plenty entertained as it was. Wonder if he just was too busy celebrating.
Well, you tend to try and run around the outside of the track, pick up some of the marbles. That'll raise the car up a little bit. Tires kind of snowball, and there are some limits that you have to meet in post-race tech, but that's taking it to extreme, I think.
Yeah. Michael DeMeo still hopping over some of these curbs. Compass Racing, boy, oh boy, it has not been a great year for them. No finish better than 5th until now. Michael DeMeo on his GT3 debut weekend shares class victory with Matt McMurray. Compass Racing gets the breakthrough performance they've been looking for.
Awesome job. Matt McMurray was really quick at the start of this race, only a few tenths off the fastest lap the race here today. Really making a statement.
Standing performance from them. That's second in Pro-Am at the back of the shot. That, though, is the winner by default to some degree in AM. Conrad Grunwald, Jean-Claude Sada. Like said, just a nice, solid, quiet weekend for the AF Corsa team. Russell Ward and Mikhail Grenier, the whole Windward team, they'll be celebrating, and we'll be hearing from our winners very soon in Victory Lane at VIR. no shortage of fireworks in that one, Calvin. We had, especially after that pit stop, that Pro-Am battle was a lot of fun. 1, 2, 3 all together, and even after that seemed to settle itself out, there was still a little bit left to be determined with Askew dropping back. Vogel had her spin, able to recover back up to 5th. Harward, another good run inside the top 5 for Zalus. He and Madison Snow, and plenty of great stories there at the front of the Pro-Am field.
It really was. We saw a few little mistakes, but I think that's really the conditions. We're now in the heat of the summer. Cockpit temperatures are up, tire temperatures are up on these hot racetracks, and easy to make that error and lose some track position.
And for K-Pax Racing, the good news is championship leaders Andrea Caldarelli, Jordan Pepper, they had a nice healthy lead that helps you absorb a hit like this one. But it doesn't take too many days like the one they had today, and the whole championship has a completely different complexion.
And they weren't far inside that minimum amount of laps to score points today, looking at it, so they were tight.
And I think they knew what they had to get done, and it looked like that car, they might have stopped a little early, because I think they were only down 4 or 5 laps at one point, and it's up to 12 now. So Thomas Blum, that brain trust there, they know how to play this.
They figured it out.
I think so. But they did cut it a little bit close for sure. Let's take a look here at the results. And you see it there, Russell Ward, Mikhail Grenier, Windward Racing at the top of the heap. What a great weekend they had. It very easily could have been 2 wins.
It could have been. Really had a strong car. Great driving by both those guys. Little faux pas in the pit lane cost them yesterday. Tough call on that. But that's racing, and they bounced back nicely today.
Corey Lewis, Giovanni Venturini, speaking of bounce backs, had the crash early in the weekend. You could still see the scars of it on that Lamborghini in this race. But
hello, live streamers. Welcome to SRO at VIR. We are so happy to have you joining us. And if by chance you could be closer to the area, we'd love to have you come out, come often, and bring your friends. Go SRO!
CJ Moses, Deputy Chief Information Security Officer for Amazon Web Services and driver of the number 58 AMG GT3, sponsored by AWS, CrowdStrike, and here at DXDT Racing. And I'd like to welcome you to lovely VIR.